Listening. But this bill be now read a second time. I call the member for Baulkham
Madam Acting
Hills.
Speaker, I rise to support the State Revenue Legislation Amendment Bill and acknowledge the contribution of the previous Speaker, the member for Maroubra and Shadow Treasurer, who I'm delighted is supporting this particular bill. Even though he acknowledges, and I know, that this, if he was still in private practice, would probably cost him some very, very lucrative billing hours. However, I digress. These are amendments that are necessary due to the introduction of PEXA and electronic conveyancing. It is similar to legislation being introduced in all jurisdictions to facilitate Judy's revenue collection with PEXA. These amendments ensure that stamp duty is paid on electronic transactions. PEXA is an electronic settlement and LPI lodgement process. It does not provide an end-to-end conveyancing package. PEXA accepts transactions such as transfers of land liable to stamp duty. It does not assess stamp duty. The Office of State Revenue will still be required to interact with PEXA to verify transaction details and ensure payment of the stamp duty. This system removes manual processes and paperwork because it allows the transactions can occur through an online system. This will provide time and cost savings as it reduces time spent preparing instruments, and it removes the need to physically attend settlement. Furthermore, it will reduce the cost of buying and selling property as a result of increased efficiency of the settlement process. PEXA aims to process 70% of the property settlement market, or 3,000 properties daily nationally, 250 billion in annual property sales, or 11 billion in annual duty collections. This gives some indication of the scale of the PEXA system. Madam Acting Speaker, the amendments will ensure that PEXA will be able to effectively operate online. The amendment to the Duties Act clarifies that a liability to duty arises on certain electronic registry instruments and that individual counterparts of an electronic transfer are to be treated as one transferred instrument. It ensures that an electronic registry instrument is considered a written instrument for duties purposes and that these types of instruments are to be taken to be first executed when first digitally signed. The Chief Commissioner of the Office of State Revenue will be permitted to approve procedures for the payment of duty on the electronic instruments and the endorsement to evidence stamping. Provided that the inclusion of a unique transaction identifier on an instrument is a form of stamp that can be used on instruments, this allows that rubber stamps can be phased out and enables the use of an electronic system. The amendment allows the disclosure of information to PEXA for the purposes of an administration of a tax law. It is clear that these amendments allow for e-conveyancing to occur and operate effectively. Similarly, the Taxation Administration Act amendments allow for the operation of PEXA. These amendments allow the Chief Commissioner to give notice of tax owed through electronic means such as PEXA. Madam Acting Speaker, these amendments allow the Chief Commissioner to register a person as approved to pay tax under a special arrangement and direct a person to pay tax under these special arrangements. The enforcement provisions are also simplified. Whilst the taxpayer will remain liable for tax not paid in accordance with special arrangements, it will now be an offence for a person given a special arrangement approval to contravene conditions of approval. This is again common sense in nature, and the person penalised should be the person responsible for the non-payment. These are common sense amendments, Madam Acting Speaker, that are administrative in nature. They will allow the operation of PEXA and the introduction of e-conveyancing throughout the state, delivering significant savings. And noting that the Minister responsible and my parliamentary colleague, the member for Castle Hill, is in the chamber, noting he is a passionate advocate for e-commerce and bringing down the cost of doing business in government, with government, I commend the bill to the House.
The question is that this bill be now read a second